welcome to another video. You've got Mr. Everything English, and today we will be going through a grade 9 story published by AQA.
Everything Education. Tuition for maths, English and science.
In 2018, guys, I believe it's 2018. Don't quote me, you can check it if you want. But in 2018, a movie was released, and this movie was called Black Phone. And essentially, guys, this movie has a very basic plot. A guy goes around in a van and he kidnaps children, puts them in the basement, and he's like an evil person. Basic plot. How many times have we seen movies like that? How many times have we had plots like that? Somebody kidnaps somebody, locks them up, and tortures them. Woohoo. But in June 2022, a question came up for the GCSEs. And the GCSE question was, write a story about a life-saving rescue. Now, the answer that we're going to go over today literally copied the Black Phone plot. They wrote a story about somebody being kidnapped, being put in the basement, and at the end, they are saved. Basic plot, isn't it? Basic plot. But who cares? Because every plot is basic. What makes a basic plot amazing is how you piece it together. Now, this student did not get in trouble for plagiarism, even though they took inspiration, even though they took motivation, even though they copied somebody else's idea. They wrote it fantastically. This grade 9, guys, is one of the best grade 9s that I've seen when it comes to how it's been written. The language is amazing, the vocabulary is amazing, structure, sentencing, and so on. Now, you could debate what is a grade 9 till the cows come home. But this is an official grade 9 published by the Examboard, not by me. They published this for schools, for teachers, so we can get an idea of what they call a grade 9. Just bear a few things in mind. The plot is super duper basic. The plot is about somebody being kidnapped and getting saved. But as I always say, guys, every plot is basic. What makes it amazing is our second point. Focus on language, vocabulary, structure, sentencing, and so on. And number 3, guys, this student rewrote a movie. And this was not plagiarism, because of course it's not plagiarism. They are simply taking inspiration from somebody else's idea. Anyway, guys, let's go on the board, because I think it will help you guys after you've seen what this student wrote to get a grade 9.
Everything Education. Tuition for maths, English and science.
So here is the grade 9 response. Now, as you can see over here, it got 24 plus 15, so it got 39 out of 40. A very, very solid grade 9. Then you'll notice how much they've written. 3 paragraphs. One gargantuan one, then a medium one, then a small one. That's it. That's all they've written. 3 paragraphs, and they got 39 out of 40. Let's have a read of their work. With a sharp jolt, I was ripped from my dream world. I dreamt every night. I dreamt of sprawling fields of thick grass, humming with the buzz of insects and tractors and the sun. I dreamt of cities that seemed to stretch beyond the horizon, with skyscrapers gouging their way through the sky, each full with people, so many people. Now let's look at the first 3 lines. They've got repetition. I dreamt, I dreamt, I dreamt. They've got rule of 3. Sprawling fields, humming with the buzz of insects and tractors. Sorry, they've got a list. So they've got a list, they've got repetition, they've got hyperbole, they've got personification. It's packed. 3 lines, and they're ticking away at the mark scheme. I dreamt of my mother, more repetition, whose face I hadn't seen since the night before I was taken, maybe 3 years before. Then they've got punctuation in the form of a semicolon. Her startling blonde hair rolling down her head. The blanket I had nuzzled in so many times and wanted to so many more. But these were, of course, dreams. I like that. That's an effective use of a short sentence. Because over here, they're almost reminiscing on how life used to be. And the short sentence brings us back to the present. Then I think we go back in time. Every morning I was thrown out of that world of the fields and cities and family and into my world of nothing. Again, a good effective use of short sentences. As I opened my eyes that morning, my view was that of the curled paint on the ceiling. Now, if I was giving advice to the student, I would have ended my first paragraph here, then I would have put that as my one-line paragraph, and here I would have started a new paragraph. That would have been a nice use of structure. Maybe that's what would get them 40 out of 40. But let's carry on, because it's very, very good. As I opened my eyes that morning, my view was that of the curled paint on the ceiling, crumpling and raining down like insidious confetti. That's good use of personification and oxymoron. As I sat up and wiped the dust out of my face's crevices, I saw that all of the other girls were awake, sat by the bottom of the wannabe steps that were, in fact, rotting wood pallets stacked on top of one another. I still had splinters from our last attempt at climbing them. As I walked over to the girls, the clunking and tip-tapping, very good onomatopoeia, of the rusted lead pipes overhead grew more irritating. It was enough to drive someone mad. Indeed, it had. I sat down on the floor to complete the circle the girls had formed, their faces barely distinguishable in the dingy pallor that coated the air of the basement. The whites of their eyes shone through, however, and I could see in them the undeniable fear that I was all too well acquainted with. He was coming. He must be. With that thought swallowing the memory of my dreams, lovely language, guys, the whole room appeared to shiver at the noise of the door slamming upstairs. Is there action? No. Is there description? Yes. Is there a lot happening? No. Is the character running around? No. But they are writing in such lovely detail. Basic plot, guys. They're sitting there sad and scared because they've been kidnapped, but they're describing their environment and their feelings with excellent language. Okay, guys, paragraph number 2. The insulation on the ceiling was put there to keep any sound from leaving, not entering. We were always able to hear the floorboards scream to us as a warning of his arrival. We were always able to tell, guys, this student is using repetition really, really well. In paragraph 1, I dreamt. Paragraph 2, we were. Lovely touch. We were always able to tell whether he was dragging the belt or the chain or another girl. We were always terrified. As we sat in that circle, the screams of the floorboards were different, lighter, steadier, calmer. Rule of 3, you got there. Rule of 3, you've got there. The door stood 6 feet above us in the dark. The handle let out an inquisitive moan as it turned. The light began to slice through the cracks of the door frame sibilants, and the hinges cried a cathartic rasp as the sunlight was given full permittance to suck out the monochrome pole from one room with the opening of the door. He wasn't there. She was there. Our knight in shining blue. That's the juxtaposition. Things are about to change. It took the police 2 hours to get us all out of that place. I remember waiting outside as they got everyone out. The sprawling fields were real. The thick green grass with the hum of the insects and the tractors was real. The sun, whose touch I hadn't felt in years, was real. As I looked out across my dreamscape, scraping at the horizon, I finally felt what I had longed for since that night all those years ago. I felt safe. It's a nice cyclical structure because here they're referring to over here when they want to be with their mum. Guys, this story got a grade 9. Now, let's have a look at how it got a grade 9. This was, can you guys see that, guys? 1 second. This was how it was marked and why it was given a grade 9. Now, you guys can match the colors with the key itself. But I just want to talk to you guys about a few things. Number 1, such a basic plot about a girl being kidnapped. But every plot is a basic plot. Every plot is a basic plot. It's what you do with the basic plot that makes your writing amazing. This student didn't get a grade 9 because of their character. We don't even know their character's name or how the character even looks like. They didn't get a grade 9 because of their setting. They didn't get a grade 9 because they were so creative. They got a grade 9 because the student understood the assignment. Their vocabulary, their language devices, their structure, their sentences and their punctuation was fantastic. And that is why they got a 39 out of 40. Out of all the grade 9s that have been published by the exam boards, this one is one of my favorites. Only because I love the use of their language. So for example, language devices, onomatopoeia. Everyone can use onomatopoeia. Boom, bang, crush. But this student used clunking and tip-tapping. And even they picked up on it. I liked that use of onomatopoeia. It's how they've written it that makes it really good. Now guys, this grade 9 behind me should give you comfort. Comfort how? Number one, you don't need to write 10,000 pages to get a grade 9. Number two, don't get lost in your plot, because it isn't about your plot. It's about your language. It's an English language exam. It's about all of this. And number three, you can use other people's ideas just like this student did, and you can definitely get a grade 9 with that. Now guys, you've got about 10 weeks before your exam, I believe. Compare your grade 9s or your grade 8s, or compare your stories to this, and really work on planning and writing a solid story before you enter your exam. Alright guys, I hope seeing this helped. You can really see how nicely it's been written. There's language being collected every single line, whether it's vocabulary, whether it's punctuation, whether it's devices, whether it's structure. Pretty much every single line, they're collecting marks. The highlighted stuff were the best bits identified by the exam boards. They didn't pick out everything. Anyway guys, if you want to take a screenshot, you can look at that in your own time. It's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.